Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Poppy Nozawa was always skilled at hiding secrets. In a city like Los Angeles, where every whisper travels quicker than the Santa Ana winds, this was a rare and vital skill. She had buried more than most people ever did. The wild years, the substances that blurred the lines, and the men who came and went like summer storms. But none of those secrets weighed as much as the one she had kept for over 2 decades. Luna was not an only child. There was another daughter. Her name was Rena. Poppy was 24 when she discovered she was having twins. She was 24 years old, afraid, and almost halfway out of the life she had been living with Bill Spencer. The pregnancy, like everything else about Bill, had never been planned. He surged in, full of certainty, money, and lethal charm, and Poppy allowed herself to imagine she could keep up. When the ultrasound tech casually announced, "There are 2 heartbeats," Poppy laughed, high and brittle, since the cosmos obviously had a sense of humor. She never told Bill that there were 2 twins. By the time she was certain that both were viable, she had already decided to depart. Bill wanted only one story. The gorgeous, uncomplicated Poppy who glided through his gatherings on a cloud of champagne and excellent genes. 2 infants did not fit into that fantasy. Neither did the postpartum depression that slammed her like a freight train, or the nights she laid on the bathroom floor of a tiny Echo Park apartment, sobbing because she couldn't stop both kids wailing at the same time. So she made a decision that no one ever knew about. She kept Luna, the firstborn, by 7 minutes, who burst out screaming as if she already controlled the world. And she gave Rena up for a private adoption arranged by a discreet solicitor in San Marino who asked no questions after the check was approved. The documents read, "Baby girl, Nozawa B." Her adoptive parents renamed her Rena Lee, provided her with a stable home in Pasadena, private schools, violin lessons, and a childhood so serene that she may have been from another planet. Poppy signed away her rights using a pen that shook only once. Then she strapped Luna into a used car seat and drove west until she came to a halt by the beach, determined not to become the type of mother who only had one child to fail. For 18 years, the falsehood persisted. Luna grew up believing she was an only child, occasionally lonely yet captivated by her mother's colorful personality. Poppy has reinvented herself 100 times. Yoga instructor, pop-up boutique owner, influencer with a pastel feed and a motto for every situation. She never missed a school play, never forgot a birthday, and never let Luna witness her tears for anything that happened before she was born. Rena grew up polite, bright, and quietly indignant in ways she couldn't describe. She received perfect scores, perfect teeth, and a perfect college acceptance letter to Stanford. She also suffered from panic attacks that began in junior year and persisted throughout. Her adoptive mother, Claire Lee, a compassionate pediatrician, booked therapists in the same way that other mothers did dental cleanings. None of them ever discovered the root. How could they? Before Rena could say anything about it, the root had been removed. Then came the internships. Forrester Creations provided an exclusive program for design students, including 6 months in the couture department, a stipend, and proximity to legends. Rena applied on a whim after seeing Luna Nozawa's face on a billboard advertising the Hope for the Future line. Something about the girl's eyes, black, wide, and haunted, stuck beneath Rena's skin and remained there. She explained to herself that it was professional curiosity. Luna was the new it girl at the company where Rena wanted to work. There's nothing more. She got inside. Rena wore a neat white blouse and a neutral demeanor, as she had done in Argument Club. She strolled into the executive lobby carrying a portfolio, almost dropping it when Luna stepped out of the elevator. The likeness was obscene. Same height, same cheekbones. Luna hid her slightly crooked front teeth when she smiled too widely. Rena felt the floor tilt. Luna stopped mid-stride, her iced coffee quivering in her grasp. "Hi," Luna said, her voice faint. "I am Luna Nozawa. Are you new?" Rena opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Security tape later revealed 19 seconds of quiet between the 2 girls, who stared at each other like reflections granted separate bodies. Then Luna's phone rang. Hope Logan needed her for a fitting, and the enchantment broke. Luna flashed the professional smile she had honed in front of cameras and added, "See you around, I guess," before walking down the corridor. Rena stood there until Thomas Forrester discovered her and gently guided her to the design studio. She worked on autopilot for the rest of the day, cutting muslin with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. That night, she returned home to Pasadena and stalked, as any self-respecting Gen Z sleuth would. Luna's Instagram was public. Hundreds of images with Poppy, the two of them on Malibu beaches, at Coachella in flower crowns, blowing out candles on matching birthday cakes. Always just the two of them. Poppy's caption game was relentless. My whole world in one frame. Me and my mini. Couldn't do life without this one. Rena sat on her childhood bed, surrounded by Stanford pennants, and felt something inside her chest split open. She retrieved the only baby photo her parents possessed from the adoption file, a grainy Polaroid of a newborn with a shock of black hair and a red hospital bracelet. She then held it up to a cropped screenshot of newborn Luna from Poppy's throwback postings. Identical. She did not sleep. 3 days later, she confronted Poppy in the Forrester parking garage. Poppy was holding a matcha latte and a tote bag labeled, "Good Vibes Only" in loopy script. She appeared younger than 50, timeless in the manner that only California women with money and trauma can be. When she noticed Rena approaching her, the tote bag slid off her shoulder, spilling crystals everywhere.
"Hi," Rena said.
Her voice was only solid because she had spent an hour practicing it in front of the mirror. "You do not know me. My name is Rena Lee. I was born in Cedars-Sinai on March 23, 1998. 7 minutes after my twin sister." Poppy's face turned the color of printer paper. "I have the paperwork," Rena said, pulling a packet out of her backpack. "I have the original birth certificate before it was changed. And I paid for a DNA test last night, which confirmed that Luna Nozawa is my identical twin. So," she took a step forward, "do you want to explain why you tossed me away but kept her?" The matcha latte landed on the ground and exploded like a green grenade. Poppy's kneecaps buckled. She caught herself on the hood of her white Tesla, her palms smearing the paint. "Rena," she said quietly, tasting the name like it burned. "Oh my God. Do you look like the daughter you wanted?" Rena provided. Poppy began crying, ugly and loud, in the echoing concrete cavern. Rena kept her arms crossed and refused to soothe her. She'd waited her entire life for this moment, and she could wait a bit more. Poppy eventually wiped her face on the sleeve of her linen jacket. "Can we not be here?" she begged.
"Please."
"I will tell you everything."
"Just."
"Not in a parking garage." They walked to Poppy's loft in the Arts District, a sun-drenched room adorned with macrame and lush plants. Rena sat on the edge of a cream sofa and declined the offered cucumber water. Poppy spoke quickly, as if attempting to avoid the truth. "I was drowning," she explained. "Bill Spencer was not interested in having any children, let alone two. I couldn't care for both of you. I barely cared for Luna. Some nights, I left her with neighbors so I could sleep. I thought." Her voice broke. "I believed you would have a better life. Claire and David Lee were on every agency's fantasy list. Stable.
Kind. Doctors.
I thought I was being unselfish." "You thought you were being convenient," Rena stated bluntly. Poppy flinched. "Maybe both." The silence between them was heavy as smoke. "Does Luna know?" Rena inquired finally. Poppy shakes her head. "Nobody knows. The adoption was concluded."
"Sealed."
"I paid a lot of money for that." Rena laughed sharply and bitterly. "Of course you did." Poppy dropped onto the ottoman across from her. "Rena, I am not asking for your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. But Luna is vulnerable right now. She's struggling to cope with her father's actions, the paternity issue, and the possibility that Bill is not her father. If you tell her—" "I'm not here to ruin your daughter's life," Rena interrupted. "I'm here to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do with mine now that I know it was all a lie." They exchanged stares across the white rug. Then Poppy did something Rena hadn't expected. She knelt down on the hardwood floor and took Rena's chilly hands in hers. "I was a child myself," she remarked calmly, terrified. "I became addicted to attention since I didn't receive enough love growing up. I made the worst decision of my life because I assumed it was my only option. I've hated it every day since. I saved every birthday card your folks sent with updates. I have a box under my bed containing 18 candles that I never got to see you blow out." "I'm so sorry," Rena said, looking down at their connected hands. Poppy's nails were painted the same gentle pink that Luna had always worn. The image made her stomach turn. "I don't know how to do this," Rena acknowledged, her voice low for the first time. "I've got parents. Good ones. They'll be devastated when I tell them I went looking. But I see Luna everywhere now. At work. On billboards. In my dreams. And every time I consider simply walking away and pretending none of this occurred, I want to scream." Poppy pinched her fingers. "Then do not walk away.
Stay.
If you don't mind, let me try. Luna does not need to know now or ever, if that is what you desire. But you're also my daughter. And I have 18 years to make up for if you'll give me even 5 minutes of one." Rena yanked her hands free and immediately sprang up. "I need to think." She bolted before Poppy could stop her. For the next 2 weeks, Forrester Creations was a minefield. Luna spotted the new intern who kept looking at her during fittings. She began to seek Rena out, approaching her at the coffee machine with bright, interested inquiries. "Have we met before?" she asked, tilting her head. "You look so familiar." Rena would mumble an apology and flee. Hope noticed the tension and figured it was standard intern hazing. Steffi recognized Rena's talent and began teaching her, which made matters worse because Steffi was now Luna's cousin, or something equally confusing. Rena's panic attacks returned full force. She huddled in toilet stalls, box breathing, as Luna's laughter rang down the corridor. She couldn't take it anymore. She texted Poppy at 2 a.m. "We need to inform her. I cannot keep lying every day." Poppy spoke immediately, as if she had been waiting. "I know. I'm also terrified." They chose a neutral setting, the beach in Malibu, where Poppy used to take Luna when she was little. It was a weekday in late autumn, with the sand chilly and virtually vacant. Luna arrived wearing enormous sunglasses and a puzzled expression, expecting the mother-daughter photo shoot Poppy had alluded about. She came to a complete halt when she spotted Rena standing close to her mother. "Okay, what is this?" Luna questioned, half laughing. "Did I miss twin day at school or something?" Poppy drew a hesitant breath. "Baby, sit down." They sat on a driftwood log, as if in a weird family portrait. Poppy relayed the narrative in faltering fragments as the Pacific raged behind them. Luna listened without moving, her shades covering her eyes. When Poppy was finished, Luna slowly removed her glasses. Her skin looked blotchy, and her eyes were both red and dry. "So you're my sister," she told Rena, surprised. "My actual twin sister." Rena nodded, her throat too thick to speak. Luna turned to face Poppy. "So, you just decided this for us? For 20 years? Poppy had no defense left. She began crying again. Luna stood up and approached the water's edge. Rena followed because it seemed right. They stood side by side, watching the waves obliterate their footsteps. "I've always wanted a sister," Luna explained quietly. "I used to pray for one. I believed God had just said no." Rena gulped hard. Luna softly touched her shoulder. "I stopped praying a long time ago. We look exactly the same. Except you got the good mom experience, and I got the college fund." Luna heaved a laugh, which turned into a sob. Then she abruptly grasped Rena's hand. Their fingers locked as if they'd done it 1,000 times before. Poppy watched her daughter's touch for the first time since the delivery room, and she felt something inside her chest break and heal all at the same moment. Later, there were thousands of talks. Claire and David Lee awkwardly sat across from Poppy, attempting to make polite small chat over gluten-free pasta. Therapy sessions, Luna's first and Rena's 100th. Arguments on whether Bill Spencer ever needed to know, they opted against it for the time being. Moments of unbridled excitement include the first time Luna named Rena, twin, in front of the Forrester team and saw jaws drop. Rena relaxed when Poppy hugged her for the first time. It was not fixed. Some days, Luna gazed at Poppy as if she were a stranger who had taken half her soul. Some evenings, Rena awoke gasping from dreams in which she was still the infant abandoned. Forgiveness arrived in shards, not waves. But, slowly and deliberately, the three of them began to create something new, a family with room for all the rough edges. Rena discovered the package under Poppy's bed one evening several months later. 18 birthday candles, each wrapped in tissue paper and tagged with the year. Next to it was a smaller box with one candle that had already been lighted and burned down to the wick, kept from the day Rena turned 20 alone in a Stanford dorm room. Poppy stepped in and noticed her clutching it. "I was going to light one every year on your birthday," Poppy said softly. "Then blow it out yourself and make the same wish." Rena carefully placed down the burnt candle. "Next year," she explained, "we'll ignite two. One for myself, one for Luna. And you can't blow them out anymore." Poppy smiled through tears as she said, "That is our job now."
Deal.
Outside, Los Angeles continued to swirl in its typical chaos. Scandals at Forrester, secrets revealed, new lives colliding with old lies. But inside that loft, for the first time in 20 years, Poppy Nozawa went to bed with a piece of her heart missing. She had both of her daughters now. And, against all odds, they opted to retain her. Luna's twin sister had always been a ghost, according to unsubstantiated rumors spread by relatives, a notion Luna disregarded as a family myth. However, on the morning of her funeral, when the Los Angeles sky hung with a dreary gray heaviness, a young woman came out of a black automobile outside the Forrester estate, and everyone who turned to look gasped as if they had seen the dead come to life. She looked just like Luna. She moved with the same calm grace, her dark hair tucked behind one ear, much like Luna did when she was afraid. She wore a modest black outfit that was slightly crumpled as if she had traveled a long way without stopping. Her eyes, wide, unsure, and gleaming with anguish, swept across the assembled mourners. Some backed away unintentionally. Others went forward, lured to the impossible, desperate to see her face up close before believing what they were seeing. Poppy, who was already quivering from the pressure of grief, nearly fainted upon seeing her. "Stop," she said to no one in particular, closing her eyes as if to wish the vision away. "Please, not today." However, the young woman did not vanish. Instead, she approached her slowly, like a wild animal about to escape if frightened. "Mom," the stranger stated. The word echoed across the courtyard, drowning out the faint murmurs and rustling clothing. Poppy's head snapped up, and her lips parted in astonished surprise. "No," Poppy gasped. "No, you can't," the girl nodded. "It's me, Hannah." RJ, who had been standing by Zend, involuntarily stepped forward, his throat clenching. Even the sight of her made his heart race uncomfortably. He wasn't sure if it was the shock of recognition or the sheer grief that had emptied him out since Luna's death, but something inside him shifted. Hannah bore an unmistakable likeness to Luna, down to the slightest features. He wasn't the only one who struggled to process it. Steffi placed a hand on her chest. Carter blinked in quick succession. Brooke looked at Ridge, puzzled. Even Dollar Bill Spencer, who was always stoic in the face of tragedy, stared at Hannah as if the universe beneath him had moved. Poppy gulped hard, her hands quivering so much that she clutched them together. "You weren't supposed to come here," she murmured. Hannah's expression was filled with pain. "I had to. They informed me that Luna had gone. They told me yesterday. You could have called me. You should have told me yourself." Her sweet, beautiful voice, hauntingly similar to Luna's, ripped into Poppy. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I wanted to protect you," Poppy gasped out. "I couldn't risk losing you after what happened and how your father's family reacted." The crowd gasped. Zend and RJ exchanged expressions of disbelief, perplexity, and what appeared to be rage or betrayal. "You knew about her?" RJ inquired, his tone low and strained. Has Luna always had a twin sister? Poppy shook her head furiously. She did not know. I never informed Luna. I thought it was friendlier. I thought separating them would keep her safe, Hannah said, her eyes shimmering. Safe from what? Poppy raised a shaky hand to her mouth. Years of secrets had formed walls within her, walls she had vowed never to let fall. But Luna was gone. And Hannah was present. There was no more hiding. Your father's family has threatened to take you, Poppy murmured. They wanted an heir, not a daughter. They were planning to take one of you. I ran before they could decide which twin they wanted. The Forrester courtyard came to a halt. Hannah's breath tightened. So, you took me and left Luna? Poppy's tears flowed harder. I wasn't sure what else to do. Luna was with my mother that night, and I knew she would protect her. I could only carry one of you. I intended to return for Luna later, but she was already content when it was safe. She led a life, and your father's family believed you died alongside me. It was the only way to keep you both safe. The confession impacted each of them differently.
Shock.
Sympathy. Judgment. But Hannah felt a knife twisting into her chest. So Luna lived her whole life thinking she was an only child, she quipped. And I lived mine feeling like a piece of me was missing.